right. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like
Surprise.
Not like 8-bit moving.
Nope. You're hot in the spots.
I am hot in the spot because I'm on a hot spot, dude. Somebody ran over my freaking internet pole, dude.
Freaking squirrels, man.
Yeah, well, that's a big ass squirrel.
Yeah.
Anyways, hey man, cheers. We're gonna try it out. Hey, yeah, it is a little slow. I can tell.
Yeah, getting a little slow. We're doing it though.
Yeah, man. What's up, everybody?
It's gonna work.
Yeah, hey, we did it. We did the thing.
Yeah.
Welcome all to another Monday night. What is going on? I'm your boy Tvshka. This is Josh. We in the building, and I'm also fucking losing my ass, dude. I hate George Pickens and I hate Najee Harris, and I wish Boswell would kick 1,000,000 field goals. Anyways, that's me, man. How's your Monday going, brother?
I'm kind of doing the same thing. Of just I need Boswell and then Malik Neighbors. He was good once. Fighting on the field. I don't know what that concussion did, but it threw him for a loop because he has not been the same since he's been back.
Maybe he should have waited another week. Maybe he should have started wearing a Guardian cap. And we're not talking about the baseball team.
That's what Devon Achane did, and he went
right
off.
now.
Right?
Yeah, Devon Achane did, as well did quite a bit of other people, including Tua, who's back. We got a lot of people back from injuries. Luckily, not too many injuries this week. But, ladies and gentlemen, we've got scoring back.
Yeah.
And not just scoring from the main heavy hitters of the running backs, wide receivers, the quarterbacks. We just got tight ends, baby.
Yeah.
We got tight ends. And the tightest of ends, bruh. Some very close games, some that shouldn't have been close at all, and some that should have actually had more than 9 points. Maybe like tonight's game. But anyways, man, how did you enjoy this weekend? And who really kind of shined in your eyes?
I mean, the Detroit Lions are on a tear, not named the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
And the Kansas City Chiefs by tear, I mean, they just keep winning. It's not like they're fun to watch, but they keep winning. I mean, Xavier Worthy, hey, he's still good. I mean, we got that. But other than that, like, it's still one thing after another with that. Jalen Hurts, welcome back. The tush push got stopped, but then he still scored a lot. The Dallas doesn't have a running back at all. They have a bunch of guys. I mean, Dalvin Cook's taking shots on the sidelines before the games. Some would say it was liquor, but no, it wasn't. But that's no here, no there. Shout out Ladidi McConkey. We're going to get into him. What you should do about the Chargers. But, Bo Nix has arrived as a really competent starting fantasy quarterback. Just slowly but surely. It's crazy with what's going on. But yeah, the tight ends. I mean, it was National Tight End Day yesterday, and they showed out. Showed out. George Kittle is far and beyond probably going to be the number one tight end scorer. I know I said it was Brock Bowers. Brock is number 2 on the season. So I still feel good about if you have either one of those, I will feel good about those. And then, Cade Otton, welcome to the league. Once Chris Godwin goes out and
Kobe.
So someone, Cade Otton or McLaughlin, and you said Cade Otton. So since Mike Evans was out, so you called it on those two. McLaughlin didn't do shit, but Otton did. And so welcome to there. Kyle Pitts.
McLaughlin. How did Sterling Shepard do in that fair? I didn't really see on that one. Did you?
I mean, everyone kind of ate a little bit. I mean, it was 31-24? 28-31, sorry. So, So everyone ate in that game. Heck, there was, and I knew it was going to happen eventually, some scoring system screwed up Darnell Mooney and Bijan Robinson because their numbers are so similar, and they had to flip it for a touchdown. because I think they gave it to Darnell Mooney, and it went to Bijan, and it actually was Bijan Robinson that scored. But because 7 and 1, if you look at their jerseys, it takes a second to see which one's 1 and which one's 7.
Yeah,
because they're kind of similar height.
The font, it's got the little extra.
Yeah, that font is just dumb. So that was one crazy thing. But yeah, no, tight ends are back. I mean, heck, Travis Kelce. Is she not on tour anymore? She has to worry about that. Like, what's going on? Or is it getting to the second half of the season where he's finally getting his footing? Yeah. He's probably getting his footing under him. So that's all I've got. As you were kind of getting everything.
Well, I'm still trying to get my footing too. So
yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, holy crap! Had a napkin on top of a coaster, and set it down on the napkin, and it half put it on the coaster, and I spit my beer, dude.
Oh.
No, yep, there's a lot of electronics behind this camera, guys. But beyond your line of sight. But yeah, no. Okay, so to answer my own question, so Shepard only got 5 points. Yeah. Only 5 points. So not a great showing out for him, but yeah, I mean, Otten is the guy. So congratulations to whoever picked him up on the waiver wires and had him, because you're probably looking pretty good for the rest of the season. They're tied in with him. May not always be 29 points. It's probably going to be closer to 10, 15, but still better production and really good production from the tight ends. I mean, let's just jump there. We do the top 10. Which has one tight end in it. It's got our boy K. Otten. But for the tight ends overall, though, K. Otten, number 1, number 2, Kyle Pitts, number 3, Travis Kelce, number 4, George Kittle, 5, McBride, 6, Troutman. Who's that? 7, Njoku, 8, Kraft, 9, Laporta, which I was hoping he would not do shit against me, and then 10, Ertz for Washington. All basically McBride, Kittle, Kelce, Pitts, and Otten scoring 20-plus points. So
without a touchdown, by the way, for McBride.
Fair, that is.
McBride didn't score a touchdown. And still
McBride did not have a touchdown. Yeah. Yeah, so there were 17 touchdowns from tight ends throughout the whole league. Some of them actually, even the backup tight ends got to eat a little bit this week. But can I remember... I think Wright, is the other tight end for the Lions that actually scored. He got one because I actually thought it was Laporta at first, and I was pissed off. And then I saw it wasn't him, and then I cheered. And then probably about 5 minutes later, he scores a fucking touchdown. So
yeah,
what you gonna do about it? But no, man. I mean, like, talking about tight ends, right? Congratulations, happy National Tight End Day, everybody. And we're not talking about hot butts. We're talking about the guys on the end of the line that block, that throw, that pitch.
Right.
If you're Travis Kelce, as far as pitching the ball back, and they receive. And really in the last probably, 15, 20 years, I mean, really whenever you're looking at Shannon Sharp, you're looking at Tony Gonzalez, I'm sure
Antonio Gates,
some others kind of along that timeline, but
Antonio Gates
a little bit later in the 2000s for sure. Yeah,
Jimmy Graham.
They really restructured. Yeah, Jimmy Graham. They really restructured and kind of reshaped what people thought of tight ends. It wasn't just the blocking guy that was eligible to catch. I mean, these are legit receivers and actually put up some better receiving numbers than some of the wide receivers. So it's cool to see them get some love, and I love it because Kincaid finally got into the end zone.
He's off the milk carton for a day.
He is. Yeah, one day. We'll see. Yeah, wanted to throw somebody off a bridge. But no, for tight ends, I mean, what does this mean? Is this, hey, the earth is finally, back in rotation. We're not on a tilted, heavy, opposite polarization. I mean, is everything right in the world?
No, because
it was tight end day, and they probably
it was National Tight End Day, and scoring was up everywhere. It wasn't just tight ends; just happened to be consistent with. You actually saw consistent scoring with tight ends, and not like 3 guys. And then everyone else had like 7 catches for like 50 yards. You're like, yay! whereas this one was actually so. But yeah, scoring was just up in general in fantasy across the board. So this wasn't like, I mean, I'm hoping, going forward that it's going to be consistent, but the only consistency I see is George Kittle because Brandon Ayuk is out. Cade Otton.
Yeah.
You would think because he stepped up against Baltimore and then proceeded to do it against Atlanta. Now, granted, Atlanta and Tampa get in shootouts. So, and then we saw Baltimore's secondary is just terrible because they let Jameis pick them apart. Shout out Patrick Tillman.
Maybe not as good of a team as we thought they were.
Defensively. Offensively, they, Derrick Henry still got his.
Still part of the team.
Yeah.
Still part of the team.
We get it. You're going to three-peat. You have DeAndre Hopkins now. But yeah. So, and Trey McBride,
yeah.
I mean, the thing that I don't see consistently is Kyle Pitts and Travis Kelce. Is this resurgent to Travis Kelce, or is it just because they played the Raiders? And they still have yet to establish the number one receiver. And Travis was like, fine, I guess I'll just go out there and do some stuff. Kyle Pitts, I mean, he should be in the teens, really, because that touchdown shouldn't have counted. But it did. So, therefore, he's number 2 for that. But, no, McBride, I see consistent. Yeah. Obviously, Bowers wasn't on here. He's going to still be consistent. He's the best receiver on their team, even though he plays a tight end position. So, if you have Otton, Kittle, McBride, Njoku, I like Njoku going forward a lot, especially if Jameis is going to be the starter going forward, which they should. Tucker Kraft still should be fine. And Bowers. Now, other ones, I would still play them, like Ertz, not really. But, like Troutman for
who else you going to
for
play
Denver
over Ertz, though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you probably still will stick with Ertz. Yeah. Like, Gesicki.
I mean, if you're in a 10-person league.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're still playing Kincaid, right?
No. Gesicki, though. I would still look at Gesicki. He's not in the he didn't crack the top 10, but I'm just saying consistent targets and stuff is what I'm getting at. Not just, boom, he hit the market. He did real well that 1 week, and then it's a spot start. I'm talking consistency. If you pick him up, you're not looking at tight ends for at least 2 or 3 weeks. And so Gesicki is one outside of the top 10. Obviously Bowers. I know no one's giving up Bowers, so I'm not worried about that. But I don't think this is a fluke thing with Cade Otton. I don't. To long story short, on the tight ends. The biggest question mark that
was a comeback up.
Yeah, it's just Cade Otton
that was
not
the coming out party for Otton.
Yeah. No, Cade Otton's here to stay. At least for the rest of the season, unless less injuries.
The overall top. Is there a delay? Is there a delay on my end?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just a tiny bit.
So give me a little bit of time because we keep over talking each other.
Yep.
Okay. But anyways, yeah. So I'll go and steal it. So looking at the season's top 10, what we got is George Kittle number 1. No surprise there with 126. Brock Bowers, which 113. McBride with no touchdowns at 93. Kyle Pitts at 89. Then Tucker Kraft. Then Cade Otton. Then Travis Kelce, Cole Kmet, which is bullshit because he didn't do anything today. Zach Ertz, and then Hunter Henry. So that's your top 10 on the season. But as you kind of alluded to, I mean, with Gesicki, they didn't do anything the first half of the season for the most part. I mean, the Bengals, even though they lost this week, the Bengals are looking a little bit back to form. So we'll kind of see what that looks like. But on the season, as far as receptions, I just lost my stat. Sorry. He was in the top there. That's weird. I don't know where he went now. But another one of note though. Mark Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he back now? He's had a couple good weeks, really. But yeah. Actually, he's had 3 good weeks, right? So 14.6 this weekend, 20 last week, and 15 the week before. So maybe a little bit of late bloomers. So I know you said you like Jazeski, right? There was Cincinnati. Is there anybody else that you like in the second half of the year, tight end wise?
Yeah, Kaseki was the one. Maybe Hunter Henry. Maybe. If Drake May is out, then no. But I like Ertz. If you haven't picked him up, I'd probably roster him just because Jaden Daniels is that dude. And I don't see. I just see him getting consistent targets for the year. So those maybe, like I said, Hunter Henry. It all depends on if Drake May plays. Sure, I might spot start Hunter Henry and have him rostered. If he doesn't, then I'm over that. Hey, Jake Ferguson, just because Dallas can't run the ball. But I mean, Jake had a shit ton of receptions. He didn't go anywhere, but he had a shit ton of receptions at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
So yeah, just
one I'm interested in paying attention to, but I'm not going to take a chance on, is Freiermuth. I mean, Russell Wilson has been, a little bit of a pickup for them. They looked really good last weekend. This week, I turned the game off because I don't want to see Najee Harris or George Pickens ruin my life fantasy wise. But I mean that's got to be a little bit of a pickup for him. So I mean, if you're just in a spot and you're needing a tight end for that bye week, I mean Freiermuth may be a pretty good candidate for that.
Yes.
Looking at their bye week, it's actually going to be week 9. So it is this week. So that they should be on waivers because people are probably dropping them. So, if you got an extra spot, pick them up and stash them, because then even though they do play some tough teams, they've got Washington, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland twice, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Kansas City, and then Cincinnati again. So, I mean, that's a pretty decent gauntlet, but at the same time, you're probably looking at some better run defenses versus pass defenses. For Kansas City, tight ends have been number one against them, really. We've been able to do a good job against the run and the taking the top off pass-wise, but tight ends is just something that they seem to have a good game against Kansas City for the most part. Cleveland, I mean, who knows what is going on at that dumpster fire, even though, Jameis Winston gave him a little bit of life. That's not going to be consistent. But yeah,
David Njoku
would be a decent pickup. Yeah,
I think Njoku's going to be is rostered a lot now going into even the Baltimore game, just because they lost because they traded away Amari Cooper. So who else? And Jameis is actually a competent quarterback. So that's why I'm saying I still like Njoku. He's going to be he might finish top 5 when it's all said and done if he stays healthy, just because they've got no one else. Like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go out and get Patrick Tillman. Nothing against him, but you're not putting your name on the plaque because you picked up Patrick Tillman. You might for David Njoku, though.
Yep. No, I like it, man. And it does look like we got quite a bit of delay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out. So then that way your internet is the one that takes it, because I think maybe since I hit the live button.
Okay.
So, we're going to jump out real quick. We're going to see if we can fix some of these issues, and I'll be right back. Hey, man. Right. Chase, take it away, bud.
Okay. All right. Well, for anyone out there, let me perk up here. So most of the time when it comes to the running backs are probably scarce at this point, because everyone's kind of established. I mean, maybe Isaac Orendo would be one you could pick up. But the thing is, they're expecting Christian McCaffrey back week 10. So who knows if that's going to be worth it. I mean, I'm not dropping Jordan Mason, but Orendo is somebody.
Coward.
Jordan. Yeah. But yeah, I was saying, just kind of going into it, of how running back wise, it's scarce market. So if you want to move a receiver and and your running back room is just dead, you need to move a receiver. If you're trying to make a playoff push, because now is the time to do it, especially for fantasy leagues. Not any other time, but just fantasy leagues. Not like season, like, your team season or something like that. But I would try and do that because, like, think about it. Like San Francisco, Jordan Mason went down, but I expect him to be fine. Isaac Orindo obviously came in, played well. So people are probably going to chomp at the bit to get Isaac Orindo. The thing is Chris McCaffrey's going to be back. Apparently, he's going to be back in 2 weeks. Now, I know he was supposed to be back week 1, and he's been out and he's like on track to go 10 weeks. It's week 10. So that's 1 week that you get Isaac Orindo, and Jordan Mason's still going to be run next week. Like yes, he got dinged up, but they're still planning on playing him. So I'm not dropping Jordan Mason. And so you pick up Isaac Orindo. He should be fine, but you're probably not going to start him. He's not a stash because if Chris McCaffrey comes back, then he's fallen down the depth chart and he just becomes a waste of space. So I would try and see if I can play your receivers to get another running back. If you don't have at least 3 solid running backs, then I would try and pivot I know 0 running backs wise, like this is where the 0 running backs could come back and bite you in the ass, especially if like 4 other leagues do it. I mean, 4 other people in your league do it, especially like a 10-team league, and 4 of them go 0 RB strategy. Then you're going to have somebody that's loaded on running back and need a receiver. Well, if they need a receiver, it's a lot easier to pick up a spot starter receiver than it is a running back. So now after this week, that is my biggest thing that I would probably tell people is if you are scarce on running backs, now is the time to move your receiver to make that late push to maybe make a decent playoff run.
Yeah. Okay. You don't have to look at my roster and tell me what's wrong with it. Okay. You don't.
I didn't. I literally I'm vamping to help your situation out because now is typically the time that you're figuring it out.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what the situation is with mine. Because I didn't do the no running back, but I did do 4 wide receivers and then a quarterback and tight end first, actually. But with that, it just kind of depends on who you grabbed. That could have worked out. I've got James Conner, which is an easy start right there.
Yeah,
James Conner's been doing great.
Mm-hmm.
He's been solid for me. Of course, a couple of bad weeks, really. But, other than that, you're looking at, about an average of 13, 14 points. But then you got for me at least, just so can use myself as an example, you got Ramondre Stevenson. Started off great, 21.6 points, then 17, then 0.3, and then 0.82, and then I believe that is when they benched him. And probably some other people did too as well. Kept him in. Luckily, he got 19.2 against Miami, but didn't had an injury against Houston. And then coming back for Jacksonville for 4.5, and then got 23.5 against the Jets while he was on my bench. But so that's the big issue though. Is like even if you got some of the top running backs, are they really producing for you? Is Chris McCaffrey gonna fucking play this year? Is probably what a lot of people's big question is. He will, but it just is it gonna be in time to help you out with your playoffs? That's the big question. And so, so what are some running backs that you would target? I know there's a couple that I kind of have in mind, but what are some running backs you would target as far as the trades? Because nobody's going to give up Derrick Henry, Kamara, Barkley, Kyron Williams, or any of the Robins, right?
No. That's why I told our last week, and I said, hold on, Jonathan Taylor. Welcome back, Jonathan Taylor. He was good again. Kenneth Walker, you could probably grab him. Tony Pollard, he's pretty consistent for as bad as far as like those mid-tier guys. Tony Pollard's not bad for as bad as the team is. He's not going to jump off the page. Josh Jacobs, even though he had a career day, you could probably move him. Go for him. You better be a good salesman to get Joe Mixon from someone because that's the darling there.
No.
But no one's going to move off of Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, if he didn't miss 3 weeks, he'd be top 3, top 5 by far.
Yeah.
He'd be number 1. I mean, he went 26, 25, 21, at least in the scoring system I'm looking at. Like, he went nuts.
Yeah. He's only had one bad game, which was week 2 against Chicago, only scoring 8 points. But he scored 26, 27, 26, 23. Yeah, without those 3 weeks, I mean, he definitely very much would have been maybe not Derrick Henry, but definitely above Kamara.
Swift.
No, I really like the Jacob ones. Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob. I mean, look at what Swift is doing.
Look good.
He is silently doing very, very well. I traded for him last year, and it screwed me up, but
dude, that hurdle was probably the best hurdle, like, visually of all time. I mean, like, actually, like, put his foot on the back of their name and then slid on top off their helmet. I mean, it was just fucking remarkable. I mean, see that in slow motion. It looked like a thing of fucking beauty. Good job. Michael Bay of shooting that shot there, because I mean, technically, I mean, it was just phenomenal. Storyline sucked that day, but that was a good look.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the best hurdle I've seen since Lamar did it against the Syracuse a cornerback way back when. If you don't know it, you should know it. Especially if you're watching this show, you should know that hurdle I'm talking about. But DeAndre Swift was clean as hell.
I'm surprised you don't have a picture of that on your wall in the background, man.
I've got. It's been shown a lot.
Christmas gift out loud.
Oh, now you're making me want to look it up again. And just thought about the whole past.
All right. Well, don't touch yourself to it. But yeah, no, I really do love the suggestion of Josh Jacobs. Another one that I'm kind of looking at right now, because A-Chan's going to be a little bit tough. J.K. Dobbins, right? I mean, 22, 28, 9, 18, 9, 16. So he's had some bad games against Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Arizona. But at the same time, maybe catch him on a good week where somebody is not as excited to have him. Because we are getting into a time of a little bit of toxic relationships with some of these players, right? So
the Jets with me,
but let's the Jets with everybody, bro. Good Lord, the Jets with the Jets. The Jets are toxic within themselves. But yeah, no. So let's take a step back. Let's jump back to the overall top 10, right? So we hit on wide receivers, or no, sorry, not wide receivers, tight ends. Who are the best receivers this weekend for sure, but also looking at your trade opportunities, but the ones that really shined for you this week, and I just want to say this, get to this one just because I want you to smile, bud. You've been so depressed this entire season, but your boy CeeDee Lamb, number 1 with 40 fucking points. In the loss against the San Francisco 49ers, probably could have not said that last sentence, but getting 13 receptions on 17 targets, 146 yards, and 2 tutties, man. Why is he taking Ferguson's touchdowns? Why is he doing that, bud?
This was supposed to make me happy. Dallas is a dumpster fire of a good roster, except for no running back.
CeeDee Lamb's number 1.
CeeDee Lamb's number 1. Yeah, and guess what? Guess who's the highest paid freaking wide receiver in the league? CeeDee Lamb's number 1. Guess who's the number 1 paid quarterback? Dak Prescott's number 1.
I was gonna say who's the highest paid quarterback.
Guess what our record is? Prescott under 500.
Yeah, no, it's not great. But
that being said, I have also too
number 1 paid. Yeah.
Well, and also too, CeeDee Lamb is. I have him in one of my 72 leagues. So, and I only needed 4 points out of him to win. I didn't need him to bury his ass 6 feet deep, but I'll take it. But hopefully this will do well because I have Lamar on that team. So Lamar and CD, if they can consistently, at least CD, if he can consistently do this on top of what Lamar's doing, just ride it, and just everyone else just fill in the gaps, we're good. Malik Neighbors, hey, way to show up, bud. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey.
He didn't do anything. He just caught the ball.
Malik showed up just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. But you know who's not the number one paid quarterback, and is not Malik Neighbors either, is Jalen Hurts, man. Back in the top 10, getting 35 points, 10 rushing attempts for 37 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. Dude, did he not know it's National Tight End Day? I mean, shiesty, because he also did some damage in the air, getting 16 completions on 20 attempts for 236 yards and 1 touchdown. The dude is a monster, and Gif, I know you're watching. Do you want to trade him? Because you don't need the number 1 and number 2 person overall in this week at least.
No, Jalen Hurts is back because he finally got his 2 receivers back. That's the thing. Is like people were like, "Oh, what's wrong with the Eagles? What's wrong with it?" They weren't healthy. Now the problem is they just I don't know what the status is of Lane Johnson. So like going forward,
yep, lineman.
Okay, he scored. Tracy Jr. But with him going forward, it could be dangerous, but I don't see it. But this is the Jalen Hurts we were expecting all season. So I think he's going to be fine. The guy right next to him is who I talked about before at the beginning of the show, before the napkin fought back against you. But that is, I don't think he's going away.
Yep. And who was that?
Bo Nix.
Oh, you're talking about in the top 10? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we didn't have to talk about Denver. We're good. We don't need to talk about Denver, dude.
Why not?
Who's Denver?
Are there like a rival or something in your division?
Dude, they're trash. That's what they are. Yeah, no, Bo Nix is doing good. And I'm glad because we have him on our dynasty team. Who thought Bo Nix would be doing better than C.J. Stroud?
Yeah.
That is what's very baffling to me. Not that Bo Nix is a good and competent quarterback, but how bad some other people are doing. But to give Bo Nix his due, because there are some believers out there. He got 30 points overall. 5 shy of Hurts, but he got 5 rushes for 4 yards, but 1 touchdown. All right, so that counts. It counts a lot more in our league. So if your league, definitely look at it because your passing touchdowns may not be 6 points. They may be 4. They may be a little bit less. But pass completions, 28 for 37 for 283 yards or 284 yards, and 3 passing touchdowns. So yeah, you guys got to love it for all you blue and orange fans out there, you horse-faced mother lovers. And then also in the division, what'd you see? How'd you pronounce his name? Apparently, I've been pronouncing it wrong the whole time.
Ladidi McConkey.
Yeah. Thank you, Key and Pill, for that. By the way.
Yeah.
Really, more so just Key, right? Key was the only one.
Yeah, it's just his Key. Well, yeah, Keegan Michael. Yeah.
Yeah, but McConkey. It's what I like to affectionately call him because Star Wars, everybody.
Yep.
Comes in at 29 points, getting 6 receptions off of 6 targets for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. So again, I mean, if the Broncos and the Chargers can score, folks, everybody can this week, except the Bears. And speaking of not the Bears, K. Dotton, we talked about him earlier, number 1 tight end overall this week. And number 5 in the top 10, getting 29 points, 9 receptions off 10 targets for 81 yards and 2 touchdowns. A very happy tight ends day to him. Then we also have Tillman coming in, a Cleveland wide receiver, in their surprising win against Baltimore, winning 29-24. And it's great because he got 29 points himself, fantasy-wise. 7 receptions for 9 targets for 99 yards. That's a lot of nines. And luckily, he only got 2 receiving touchdowns.
If only he wore
It was
number
a
9.
reverse 666. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
quick,
then we also, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to make up. I said he was Patrick Tillman. No, that's an NBA player out of Michigan State. This is Cedric Tillman. My bad. Carry on.
Yeah. Oh my God. Now I'm thinking of oh my God, the Arizona player. Was that a Tillman? The one that was
Yes, Patrick. That might have been Patrick Tillman. That's actually, I think that's who I'm thinking of. Sorry,
that was Patrick Tillman. Okay.
There's a Tillman.
Okay.
There's a Tillman that plays.
Not,
that's from Michigan State that plays in the NBA.
Okay.
Patrick Tillman. We'll never forget you. That's why I kept saying your name. Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Now, all right. You know what?
We do have Veterans Day coming up. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I do have to step away for a second.
You got internet. That's what we'll do. We'll blame it on. We'll blame it
on my internet. I'll step away for a second, and you're gonna go through the rest of the top 10. I'll be back.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do that. And a happy early Veterans Day to everybody, by the way. I myself was served, so we appreciate you all and your service. And yeah, go get the free food, y'all. They're on November 11th, I believe. Maybe that Monday that it is observed. But to continue on after not Pat, but the other C. Tillman, Kirk Cousins coming in 29 points, getting 3 rushing attempts for 16 yards, but more importantly, 23 completions on 29 attempts for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns. I believe there was like an insane statistic that he had actually thrown for over 750 yards against the Buccaneers this year, and it's only in 2 games. So I think he was the first person to do that, maybe just league-wise, to be able to throw 750 yards against an opponent, let alone division opponent. So even though the NFC South has kind of sputtered a little bit, excuse me, guys, I'm trying to talk, and with the Saints not really showing up, the Bucs and the Falcons still giving us a good game, being 31-26 there. But we go on to James Cook. We're talking about running backs that you could possibly target. James Cook might be one. Coming in and getting 28 points, 17 rush attempts for 111 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. And then getting 3 for 3 as far as completions and targets for 22 yards. So good showing for him. And then you also got Devon Achane there in Miami. Getting Tua back is going to be a huge bonus for him, as well as the Tyreek Hill and the rest of the team. He got 27 points, 10 rushing attempts for 97 yards. But the big money came from 6 receptions off of 8 attempts for 50 yards and 1 touchdown. Then lastly, we got Brock Purdy coming in. He played some other team. It's very respectable. I know because people told me. Sorry, I don't know why I was slipping into that. But at 26 points, because he got 8 rush attempts for 56 yards, 1 touchdown, using his legs a lot more. He did that with Kansas City. He's done that in previous games as well. So be on the lookout for Purdy. I mean, if there's any trade opportunities there, because he might be a pretty good pickup going into the future, even though they are out of Ayuk and Jennings. Just his increase in rushing ability could really help out in kind of balancing the scales, because but he still got 18 completions for 26 pass attempts for 260 yards and 1 touchdown. And that is our top 10, ladies and gentlemen, overall this week. But man, I mean, pretty spread out. I mean, we got wide receivers, we got quarterbacks, we got tight ends, and we got running backs, man. I mean, we got them all.
That's what I'm saying.
The
like,
only thing we didn't have was a defense or a kicker.
Well, no one gives a shit about those. But yeah, no, this, like I said, scoring was up consistently across the board for all positions. Now, granted, the tight ends definitely stuck out because they've been dormant, except for like 4 guys for the season. So, I mean, and Cedric Tillman, yeah, I'd pick him up if you have a guy that sucks. but I don't expect Cedric Tillman to be. I mean, he might be, but if you have a roster spot that you're like, I don't know about that guy, I'd rather just pick up Cedric Tillman at this point, going forward.
Yeah, but it's still Cleveland, man.
It's still Cleveland.
I mean,
I think that's an outlier.
Still Cleveland. They got a good game. They got a win against Baltimore, which is a shocker. But at the same time, it's like I just don't see them and Jameis Winston be able to connect like they did yesterday.
Yeah, like I was saying, I would still look at Cedric Tillman, but I wouldn't be like, oh, I got to get him now. Like I would look at my roster, assess it, and be like, how much is he actually going to help me? Or is he just going to be, I hope he keeps doing what he's doing. Just because Cleveland has been a dumpster fire. And now that they actually have a quarterback that's good and not a pedophile. Oh, no, not pedophile. Allegedly. Not a pedophile. Sorry. Just doing some bad things off the field.
Went there.
Yep. Yeah. Didn't mean to. I meant to say another word, and then pedophile just came out of my mouth.
A creep is one.
Creep, pervert.
Yeah. Yep. Pervert. And speaking of creeps and perverts, give Taylor welcome to the chat, buddy. The Aaron Jones formula. I can't figure it out, dude. Yeah, Josh, can you? Because I can't.
I want you to lay out the formula that you have for Aaron Jones. And then I will tell you if you can, and I will let you figure it out. Because I don't know exactly the formula that you're using, said Aaron Jones. So I can't sit there and say, because Aaron Jones' formula could work. It depends on what other ingredients you have.
Yeah, okay.
For that. I don't know if that's
it's not a formula, it's more of like a baking recipe.
Yeah, it's more like a baking recipe, but still, like, I want to know what other parts you have with this formula. Because a formula doesn't involve just one thing. Because I learned that from school.
Well, look at you. I went to a public school, so I can barely spell. But yeah, no, I mean, Aaron Jones. I mean, that's a very good question, actually.
Aaron Jones, well, that's Aaron Jones. Like, 1 week he's cooking, the next week he's cold. I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to further illustrate that, week 1 against the Giants, 18.9, then 9.8, then 25.8, then 17.9, 6.3 against the Jets, 20.6 against the Lions, 11.5 against the Rams. I mean, it's like he's showing up against good defenses, and sometimes he's not showing up against bad ones. I mean, who knows where the Jets are really this year. San Francisco, week 2. I don't know how injury-ridden they were, but yeah, I mean, it's a flex, but I mean, if you're looking at any kind of metric or pattern recognition that you could kind of see, I don't know, man. I mean, because even just look at his overall snap percentage. 55, 61, 60, 82. Okay, cool, great. That means we're on the rise. 22. All right. Well, now we're back down. Then 72, 92. So, I mean, he dropped whenever he got to 82 before. So, maybe expect a drop against the Colts. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. It's crazy to even say out loud. But the Colts, man. That's a weird.
Well, this is what Aaron Jones has been for the past, 4 years. Is he's great 1 week. He's not consistent. He's just not. He has the talent to be, but he's just not. And that's the problem that you're going to run into. Is that he is a boomer bust. He's not. So I haven't looked at your team in a couple weeks, so I don't know who the other running backs are. But he's one of those guys you can't not play him, which is what your dilemma is. So if you cannot play him, look at one of my Jets and we'll talk.
That's all you're doing. You're just fishing for a trade.
Man, I've got Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. One of them's got to go.
Dude. Yeah. I mean,
mainly Devontae Adams.
There, but
I will trade Devontae Adams now for a running back.
Yeah, and I would help you out, but I am trying to get rid of some receivers myself.
Yep.
He says,
He says, Yep. He was.
But no,
Hey, let's keep it like we. Sorry to interrupt, but let's keep it like we did last year when I got Puka Nakupa cupped. Then I had to trade one of them. Guess who I traded with? That guy. Now I basically got Puka Nakupa cupped again. You need an Aaron Jones problem. I'm here to solve it in the with the name of Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Let's trade former Packer players, right? How about that, guys?
Yeah.
Because speaking of former Packer player, he was last year in 2023. He got in week 1, 26.7. Then it looks like maybe injured for 2 weeks, came back for 2.4, injured for another couple of weeks. Then 8.7, 8.6, 17.9, 9.4, 2.7, 2 weeks out and a bye, so 3. And then he came out, in playoff fashion and showed up. 10.9, 14.5, 14, and 19. So, steadily increased there. So, looks like battled injury kind of all year. It's going to be just up and down because even looking at 22, there's really not a whole lot of consistency. Even 2021, week 2, he scored 41 points, but that was only after he scored 4.2. So,
right.
Miserable as hell as far as existence. Is he the Gabe Davis of running backs?
I was getting ready to say, you know who he's a running, the wide receiver comp is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's Gabe Davis.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Most receivers are like that though. They're not Mr. Consistency. The only consistent receiver really on the year has been Justin Jefferson or obviously Jamar Chase. But he's had a slow start, but ever since then, he's been consistent for the rest of the season. That's why he's the number 1 receiver on the year. Typically, Tyreek would be that, but Tua's been out. Now Tua's back, Tyreek's back, in a sense. He's not like blowing the doors off, but he's still back. And then you have, like I said, Justin Jefferson's been pretty consistent for the year. What's the top 10 receivers on the year, real quick?
Yeah, top 10 on the year is Jamar Chase. This guy circled in red called Chris Godwin. Still in the top 10.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah,
damn it.
There can only be one, apparently, there in Tampa.
No.
Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas Jr., Stephon Diggs, who just got injured and may be out the rest of the season. We don't know yet, right?
No, and it literally was a non-contact injury. You don't want to hear knee and non-contact together.
Yeah. And then Jim McLaurin, there was the rookie sensation Jaden Reed, or not Jaden Reed,
Jaden Daniels.
Jaden
Reed was a rookie sensation last year.
Number 10. Yeah. But Jaden Reed was the next player there at number 10 for Green Bay. So that's your top. Reed with 117, Chase at the top with 159. So commandingly there. But yeah, with a lot of it, you got to look at the games and, see if they're getting scripted in or out, right?
Yeah.
So is it, are they a slot receiver or gadget player where it's just going to really depend upon the matchup? Or are they a core staple of that offense, regardless of the defense? And honestly, regardless of how good or bad they are. Because there are some shitty teams that are putting out far better fantasy production than the Super Bowl champions themselves that are undefeated. So can't always go off of who's a good team and who's winning. As far as in the NFL standings, sometimes you just got to look at who is basically the only person that's getting production.
Yep. This reminds me of the Joe Flacco-led Ravens of the past, where they were so good, they were so consistent. You didn't have them on your team, fantasy-wise.
Yeah. Because who did they even have as a running back?
Ray Rice.
Was it Ray Rice? Oh, no. Oof.
Yep. And then Forsett. Forsett. not Forsett. Gosh, I forgot. Fournette. No,
Fournette.
Forsett. Yeah, Forsett. It was Leonard Fournette. Who I was getting confused with. No, it was Forsett.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he was good, but he was good for like 1 year. Forsett was only good for like 1 year. So it's like their running backs weren't like, oh my god. I mean, they really haven't had like amazing running. Like they tried to. J.K. just was hurt the whole time.
Yep.
Mitchell now, like once he gets back, you have Mitchell, Justice Hill, and then
they have the whole litany of running backs that they have gone through. I didn't want to be too
Mitchell, the rookie last year. Mitchell, he was going off until he tore everything in his leg. So, they really haven't
Derrick Henry is a solve for them. Sure. But jumping back to wide receivers though, we're talking about the overall on the year. I mean, is there anybody that you're trading for? I mean, are you looking to like level up? So maybe you have a good running back, and the other person is actually, wanting to kind of get rid of a wide receiver. I mean, is it the same thing where you just got to look outside the top 10 because those top 10 are just locked?
Yeah. That's a tough question just because, like I was saying, it's so up and down. Like, do you really trade a good running back for Devontae Smith? No. AJ Brown, maybe. That would be one, I think, because he's been kind of banged
Darnell
up.
Mooney.
I'm as a person who has Darnell Mooney, he's boomer bust too. Same thing with like Darnell Mooney, Josh Downs. Put them together, the most amazing wide receiver ever. But they're exactly the same type of player.
I mean, Mooney just right on the heels of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Oh no, he's right outside the top 10. So I mean, I get it. But he went to at least. I mean, you can run down Mooney's stat line real quick.
Yeah, Mooney. I mean, started off terrible against Pittsburgh. I mean, that was a pretty bad loss there for him. But 2.5, then 17.8, 14.6, 8.6, 31.5, which is kind of the redemption there. And that's probably when a lot of people got him on the roster. Then 6.8, 9.6, and 18.6 today.
Yeah, so you see, it was like he was really good. And like he was bad. Then he was really good for a couple weeks. And then he was And then he was like number one receiver on the week. And then he was for a couple weeks. And now he's back. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's not the consistency that you would want to trade away a running back in that regard. Like you want consistent without like, I mean, you can try and get Terry McLaurin. That's what I would try and do. I've said that for like 2 weeks straight. I would trade for Terry McLaurin. He has a competent quarterback. So that's if you're asking me, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. But I mean, if you have Terry McLaurin, are you giving him up?
No. Unless I just have no running back, then yes, I could possibly be swayed, depending on whom other receivers are.
Yeah.
Because you can moneyball it enough for receivers. You can't moneyball it for running backs. So it just depends on if you are needing that one last player and he is not your staple, then I could possibly be swayed to give up Terry McLaurin. I wouldn't like it, but if someone's like, I'll give you Jonathan Taylor right now for Terry McLaurin, yeah, it's a good 1-1. It's a good 1-1.
Yep. What about Nico Collins?
See, that's the problem is because Nico is out for, I think he's back maybe week 10. So in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it looks like November 10th. So yeah, slated for actually week 9 because we got week 8. Week 10.
Yeah.
No, sorry.
So
next week is week 9.
Right. So I think he's slated for. Mm-hmm. Did he just fumble
come back against Detroit, which hopefully should be a good game.
Should.
But then they finish with Detroit, Dallas, Tennessee, Jacksonville. Then they have the bye. So that's the other major consideration is that he still hasn't had his bye week yet.
Right.
That could work out in your favor. So, but that's week 14. And then when it comes to championship ball, Miami, Kansas City, and Baltimore. And if you're in any league that is a decent person and not a psycho serial killer, you will not be having your championship on week 18. You should have on week 17.
17 or 16, because even 17 is kind of flirting with it. But I would do it. But if it's week 18, then what? Yeah, like you're saying, what serial killer are you?
Yeah, so you probably have a pile of dead babies in your garage.
You are petting a white cat in the most weirdest way possible.
A white cat with no fur.
Right.
Mr. Bigglesworth.
Right.
But yeah, so that's wide receivers, man. I mean, I know we're kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive kind of on them. We are looking at 55 minutes right now. So do we want to jump through quarterbacks or any other skill position? Before we hit
quarterbacks, it's kind of the same thing that I say all the time when it comes to quarterbacks is look at the matchups. If you have, top 4. Let's just look at retrospective here, and I'll kind of do a fantasy footballers thing because I kind of talked about it, but I've been thinking about it. Retrospective here, your top 4 quarterbacks of the year. The only one that's been consistent has been Lamar. But then you have Jordan Love, which we had a conversation at the beginning of the year between C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love. Jordan Love did get banged up, and he hasn't been healthy the whole season. But when he's been in, he's been a better quarterback than C.J. Stroud, production-wise. Right? Now, granted, he has more weapons that have been healthy. Now, I know Watson's hasn't been 100% healthy, but he's never been 100% healthy. But he has Wicks, and he has Romeo Doubs when he's not pissed off at the coach for not playing him for some reason. But then he has Jaden Reed. He has that tool in his toolbox that Houston doesn't have. Now, granted, Nico was the number 1 receiver of the year before he went out. Kind of the same thing with Chris Godwin. If you're Baker Mayfield owner, I know you had that situation where you didn't know who to start, him or Caleb. Until he pisses me off, I'm starting Baker Mayfield. For those who don't know, Baker Mayfield is the number 1 quarterback on the year. He's ahead of Lamar.
Number 2, right behind.
Number 2, right behind Lamar.
Yep.
It just depending on the scoring system. Baker and Lamar are 1 and 2, which that was them for Heisman races 2 years in a row. But I don't talk about Lamar. I don't know who he is. But most of the time, like Jared Goff, like you would thought, oh my God, he had 3 touchdowns. If you look at his stat line, he's up for MVP, but fantasy wise, he's not like, oh my God, I have Jared Goff, I'm set. Like if you have him as your starting quarterback, you feel good, but you're not like, oh my God, I have Jared. I don't have to worry about it. Like there's only very few, like a handful of quarterbacks that you're start done. Don't even look at the matchup. And that's off the top of my head, which you can bring up the quarterbacks for the year. But Lamar, Baker, Jordan Love.
You can too, by the way.
I know, but I don't want to. I just want to see if my mind can get me there. But yeah, those 3, because Josh Allen hasn't been consistent as much as he has been. I think he still is going to be. If I have Josh Allen, I'm starting him. I'm not questioning that. Jalen Hurts, I'm starting him now that he has the receivers back. At first, when he didn't have his weapons, yes, I was looking at maybe I might have been looking back and forth on that. But those are like like I said, just a handful. I'm like, okay, I feel confident in starting those guys. Other than that, I'm kind of looking at matchups. And so, what did I name? Like six quarterbacks out of what? Out of a 10-team league, 12-team league, 14-team league, if you're that desperate on joining a fantasy league. If you're in a 14-team fantasy league, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah, you might as well join a dynasty league and be miserable.
Or do a best ball. Because I'm in like a 16-team league, but it's best ball, so you just draft and that's it. Like, who cares? You don't have to worry about waiver wires and shit like that. So, but yeah, just go ahead and run through real quick about the top 10 quarterbacks real quick.
Yeah, on the season, it's Jackson, Mayfield, Daniels, Allen, Purdy, Burrow, Hurts, Murray, Nix, and Geno Smith.
Yeah. So, sorry, Jade Domination. My bad. I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Just your game was so damn boring. So But yes, no, Jaden Daniels, obviously but like Bo Nix, I don't think he's consistent like for the rest of the season, especially when he plays Kansas City. Like when he plays Kansas City, I'm like, okay, what other quarterbacks got going on? Like even with Bo Nix. So Geno Smith without DK Metcalf, he was trash. So it just depends on who's healthy on your team. Unlike Baker Mayfield, unlike Lamar, unlike Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts did get hampered, but it all depends on who's healthy. But I still say like there's probably only like 6 quarterbacks that I'm like, yeah, I don't look at matchups, and that's the crazy part about your draft is like, oh, I'm good. No, you're not. That's why we always say,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, would you ever rather have Baker Mayfield or Bo Nix right now?
Baker.
Yeah.
I would rather have Baker. I
don't know, because just looking at it, man.
I understand. Like it's a good question, but I'm just rolling. Right. I'm rolling with the guy who's been consistent all year instead of getting there.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is you look at the stats, and you have Mayfield 29 rush attempts for 169 and 2 yards, and then you have Bo Nix 52 rushing attempts, 259 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he has higher rushing upside than Baker Mayfield. And actually, he's scored more rushing touchdowns. Jackson definitely wins in the yardage column. The only person to have more yards and more touchdowns than Bo Nix right now is Jaden Daniels. So I don't know. I mean, I think again, we're looking at the top 10.
Yeah.
If you got 2 of these people, then I mean, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
I mean, trade for a wide receiver or running back, because you're not gonna be able to play both of them.
Nope.
But
especially if they've both been through their bye weeks already.
Yeah. Oh my God. Right. Yeah. Once it's bye week, drop them.
Right.
Yeah. Get some streamers, man. But I don't know. I mean, Bo Nix not a bad spot if you got him. I mean, I know in our dynasty we got Bo Nix in a trade, and thinking, oh, this is dumb, even though we got 2 other good people, and I think the other people got injured.
We have Brian Robinson, dog. We got Brian Robinson and Bo Nix in that
Robinson's
trade.
Still good to go. He's still good to go.
Yeah, he's still good to go. He was
1 or 2
again.
He got injured, but yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Bo Nix, pretty good pickup, guys. Hate to say it. Big question, quarterback-wise, to me, though, out of this top 10 list, is Geno Smith. And not just because he's at the end of that, but it's just what does that look like for him? Kind of the
I've always been a tweener when it comes to Geno. Like, if he's on my team, I'm like, okay. But I'm not like, oh, I'm comfortable. Like, it's just Geno is a boomer bust quarterback. He is that mid-tier that you just don't know what to do with. And if he doesn't have all his weapons, a.k.a. he didn't have DK this week, and the numbers showed. So, and it depends on Geno is a matchup-based quarterback. Like, he's not going to go out there, and he isn't overall in the top 10, so that is consistent in a sense, but he's not Mr. He just is in the top 10. And if you look at those other quarterbacks that are, heck, even to like quarterback 16, it's not like they're probably. I'm guesstimating because I don't have the facts in front of me because I'm trying to do this thing off the cuff, but I'm pretty sure they're not very far behind him in total points. I could be wrong. I could have mud on my face just saying that statement. But most of the time, those quarterbacks from like 10 to 16, they're not very far apart.
He is closer. No, what just happened here? Okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, Kyler Murray's yeah. So Geno Smith is at 137. Him and Bo Nix are right there. Bo Nix at 138. You have a little bit of drop to Kirk Cousins, right? Who, too bad he just can't play Tampa Bay every week, or else you'd have like 1 million yards.
Right.
But Cousins at 132, Lawrence 129, Goff at 125, and Aaron the Loser Rodgers at 123. Next to I shit the bed this year, Stroud with 122.
Yeah. So it's not such a huge fall off between Geno and those other guys. I mean, it's still a decent fall off, but it's not a huge fall off that I'm like, oh, I got to go grab Geno Smith over, Kirk Cousins or Jared Goff. Like, I'm not. There's not enough discrepancy to be like, oh man, I'm so glad I have Geno Smith. Like those other top guys of like Jaden and even Bo Nix is creeping in there. You're not wrong on looking at that. Like Bo Nix is creeping up there because of his rushing yards alone, and his rushing attempts that he does. But if you're asking me like who's going to be more comfortable with, Geno or Bo? I'm going with Bo at this point in the season. Plus, Bo has a better coach.
Better coach. Also, probably a little bit of a better division to play within, because we are getting into division play now. So that means that they're going to be going against the Rams next week. Then they have a bye. Talking about Geno Smith. Then San Francisco, Arizona, the Jets, Arizona, Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago, and then the Rams again. So not only are they playing in their division, who on and off, injury-wise, but still a good division. But they're also going against the best division in football, being the NFC North, with Green Bay, Minnesota, Chicago. Dude, that's a fucking murderous row right there.
Yeah.
They already played Detroit, and he got 22.6 points in there. But, yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, like, there's only like a handful of quarterbacks. So I'm like, if they're on my roster, I'm good.
Yep.
So that's all I got about that.
All right, man. What you got for injuries, bud?
Yeah. We don't have as many, thankfully, but it's still hit pretty hard. T. Higgins, he was kind of a late scratch. I think it was like the day of or the day before. That he was basically saying he wasn't his quad is considered day-to-day. Jordan Love, groin is considered day-to-day. MRI on Monday revealed that the nature of the injury that forced him out of Sunday's 30-27 win over Jacksonville is to be a strain. So good news there. The bad news for Stephon Diggs owners is, like I said, he was listed non-participant Monday's estimated practice. They're probably getting a bunch of second opinions. I know that's kind of weird. Like, you have multiple second opinions? Yes, you can, according to Adam Schefter and Imran Rappaport.
5.
Yeah, you can get 5 second opinions.
Find the one that says, hey, I will sign up on this if you give me X amount of money.
Yeah. Christian Kirk, he's gone. Broke his collarbone.
Yeah. So
he's done for the rest of the season. Brian Thomas Jr., he listed as day-to-day. MRI, it was as a contusion. So hopefully he'll be back there. He's having a pretty daggone good season. Gabe Davis was forced out of Sunday's game against the Packers with the shoulder injury. So yeah, just Trevor Lawrence has no one left. Quentin Johnson was inactive for Sunday's game against the Saints, but I expect him back. If it's not, Ladidi McConkey will be a good start, depending on your roster. Aaron Rodgers, knee hamstring, was limited on Monday's estimated practice report. So unless like this, they're 2-6, so I'm pretty sure he's still going to be pushing to go. Just give him some ayahuasca and he'll be good to go. Alan Lazard, week to week, and so you'd rather have day to day than week to week. But if you're in a 14-team league and have Alan Lazard, then there you go. Jordan Mason aggravated his existing shoulder injury in Sunday night's win over the Cowboys and is viewed as day-to-day. And then Debo has been diagnosed with a rib and oblique strains and is day-to-day as well. So not a whole lot to worry about. But if you're in the Dynasty League that has Christian Kirk, you're pissed. Not saying anything.
What if you have Diggs?
Yeah, that would
suck. You could be pretty pissed off. He says, thankfully... lucky to have Dale or Tank Dale. Yeah.
You could have Devontae Adams for the bright price of maybe Aaron Jones.
Like it. Yeah, Debo Samuel. I mean, are you worried about him, or is it it's fucking Debo Samuel?
This is Debo every year.
Played with pneumonia. So.
Yeah, this is Debo every year. Like, it's like, are you worried about him? No, he's going to play. And when he does play, he's going to be really good. But it just depends on, it's your rolling dice every week that he has pneumonia, blah, blah, blah. Like, if Debo is on the field, I'm starting Debo. Long story short. Like, I'm not mad that I have Debo, but this is what you go through with Debo every year.
Is a Debo injury as much of a lock-in bet as a DK face mask penalty?
I don't know what that joke was for, but sure.
Well, DK Metcalf. Oh. I mean, notorious just for always grabbing somebody's face mask or getting.
Definitely more. The DK is more consistent with that than Debo is with injuries. It's not like it's Debo's choice.
I mean, hey, some people would argue that it's not DK's choice either.
Right.
I mean, at least not one of the main voices in his head.
Yeah, but no, Stephon Diggs of that injury report is the one that I'm like, that sucks. Because like Christian Kirk isn't going to make or break your season. Stephon might be, especially for your CJ Stroud owner. Like it has a, like you said, he has Tank, but Tank is great when Nico is playing. Tank is great when Stephon Diggs is playing. Tank ain't Tank by himself.
Yep. Yeah, he's more of like a support tank. He's more like a personnel carrier. He's not a tank.
Yeah.
Because he's got to get carried by somebody else. But yeah, no. Yeah, I think that's the biggest impact is the CJ Stroud owners. I mean, definitely if you have Diggs, I mean that's an impact. But at the same time, I mean he wasn't winning your weeks for you with the production that he was putting in or getting out. But for CJ Stroud, it's just like, the fuck now, dude. I mean, Schultz better catch the ball or whoever he's got his tight end, and Dell. I mean, who's the fourth, fifth string that's going to be stepping up? There in Houston. But yeah, definitely very bleak there in Houston. Any other injuries before we kind of move on to?
No, nothing. I mean, obviously Jade Daniels played, and there was no reports came out that he was like super like bruised or anything like that. He was fine. They kept wrapping him over the after every time out.
I was gonna say, yeah. Someone shot there wrapping him outside of the outside of his uniform. So are they putting another uniform on top of that or what? Yeah, no, I mean, he balled. Played through pain and really showed kind of his mettle and his worth to his team as well as the rest of the league, putting them on notice. But as for the rest of the league, defense, kickers, we got injuries coming up, man. I mean, how do you not tilt, right? How do you not tilt after you've sat Baker Mayfield and Dalton Kincaid for Cole Kmet and Caleb Williams,
Robert Woods.
Right? I mean,
he's been the same thing. Yep. I mean, what are you talking about? How do I not tilt? I'm sitting here trying to offer Devontae Adams over a live broadcast for Aaron Jones. I wish I could sit there and be like, I'm the perfect person to answer this question. I'm literally trying to get Devontae Adams off my effing team and get Aaron Jones, who we talked about hey, this is Aaron Jones. I don't know. But I'm like, what's not? I don't know about him, is Devontae Adams. So you need a receiver, get Aaron Jones off of you. There you go. Especially with the Stephon Diggs situation. That being said, how do you not tilt? It depends on the record. Like if you're trying to make if you're like maybe right there, want to make a playoff push, you have to. The tilt thing is don't trade away consistency, trade away potential. If that makes sense. So if you have consistent players, don't trade that away. Trade away potential who have shown promise, who still could be given the matchup, and then maybe get consistency from your opponent. So it's more of this is how you trade without tilting, and then possibly making out okay, if that makes sense. I always will trade I will trade potential over consistency unless I am just desolate, and that's the only way I will trade away consistency, as long as I have another consistent player in that position. So, like, for example, if you have Malik Neighbors and Jamar Chase, you can trade away a Chris Olave or something like that, or somebody for a consistent running back. So you can trade away potential, get a running back. But or you would trade away Malik Neighbors for a consistent running back, but you're not giving away your core consistent player in that regard. So that's how you don't tilt but it's still improving your team. But if you can trade away potential for consistency, that would be the best way to go.
Right? Yeah. Well, because potential does not win championships.
Well, it could,
and
depending on the week.
No. Yeah, because potential is unrealized.
True.
Yep. Think about it. I mean, just the pure nature of the word itself and the definition.
But that's in the NBA draft is like made is like, oh, he's potentially could be really good, even though he was average 4 points a game at USC.
Yeah. Yep. And how many busts have there been? You know what I mean? I mean, there's booms, there's busts, there's the Tom Brady's where they're in the 5th or 7th round and surprise and the best decision that Robert Kraft ever made. But for that though, I mean. You say, look at consistency and potential. I say, look at the fucking numbers each and every time. Look at the numbers. What are they saying? And then also look ahead, because if you're looking for a push, then, I mean, you may want to be a little bit risky as far as, what the schedules are in the last 4 weeks, because you need to win now. But if you're sitting good, make all your moves according to how it will be after week 14, because you should be in the playoffs. You should be in that hunt, and that is really what matters when it comes down to it.
We'll save my playoff strategy for when we get closer to it, but Tvshka had a good point.
Okay. If you're playing to win right now, you are in the playoffs.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how it is. You're sitting 500. You're in the playoffs right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. And this time of the show,
4-week-long fucking wild card.
Yeah, but we will use this part of the show to do our yearly PSA of don't quit on your league. Set your lineups every week.
Yeah.
Don't give someone an easy win. It ruins the sanctity of the league. It is a spit in the face of people who do spend hours doing this and have fun doing it. So if you are in a league and you haven't won a game, I don't know who that could be, or you've won maybe 1 or 2 games so far, still set your lineups, still do that. It's just all this our PSA of, from G.I. Joe is set your lineups. If you want to play the waiver wire, you can, but please do not give someone an easy win, because it will piss off a lot of people who put time and effort and have fun, and who do this in all the right ways. So please set your lineups, even though your team sucks.
I like it. It's a good PSA. And then also, let the score shines, y'all.
So how was that for you?
When the moon is in the 7th house and her line.
See Kirk Cousins on Seth Rogen's body.
Yeah, it's so
Makes
weird.
me laugh every time.
We went
that's
into
the
their
score
trap
sound, man.
and took their. We went into their trap and took their trap.
So good. Great movie. Good show, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I've had a little bit of internet issues.
Hey.
Watched it a little bit and excuse me, a little playback. And yeah, I look very digitized, but at least the audio is coming through. So for the podcast listeners there in the future, you're welcome. Okay. Not you're welcome, but thank you, my dude.
Thank you.
for joining me on another good week.
All the time. It's always a pleasure. Oh, I can sit here and talk out of my ass and sound right some days and sound wrong the other days, but that's what fantasy football is all about. Because
Oh my God, it is.
it's a roll of the dice half the time, but as long as you do the right things and study your waiver wires and pay enough money to other platforms that you could get information from that could help you with 1,700 leagues, you too can be successful in life.
There we go. You two can be successful. And then also you can be miserable together and join a dynasty league. Oh my God, man. That is a miserable existence. So looking forward to doing this for the next few years with you.
Yeah, I know. We're all in this together, and I'm not going to sing the dumb song.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Paid the dues.
for everyone out there, Give Taylor, thank you so much for joining us. I'm not joking about that trade, so shoot at me with that Devontae Adams for Aaron Jones, because why the fuck not? I just lost to Jason by 11 points. But anyway, I did win my other league, and I sweated that one out. Whew, that was a big sweat. But for those of you all that have joined us or will join us in our recordings, please like and subscribe. We have 4 shows a week, at least consistently. You have the Fantasy F Around here with me and Tvshka, and then you have me and 3 of my buddies get together and we play co-op video games, mainly Divinity Original Sin Part 2. It is a D&D based game where we kind of go through the world that is of Divinity, I guess. I don't know, God Woken. I don't know. It's a bunch of stuff. But we have fun there. We argue about having who has what armor. It's kind of weird there. And then on Wednesdays, we wrap it up of the week that is in sports, which, myself, Sol, and Tvshka wrap everything up from a Wednesday to Wednesday standpoint. That's soccer. We just wrapped up WNBA. We're also going to talk about the NBA as well. And obviously the NBA just did tip off as long as hockey. So please join us for that. Tell us what you would like to hear there. And on Thursdays, myself and Justin Toner talk about wrestling and break down everything that is from Thursdays to Thursdays in the world that is, was, and will be in the world of wrestling. I know we got the Bloodline Civil War is kind of heating up there. We just did Halloween Havoc there. And then we've got other things going on, talk about AEW as well. And then we also do some watch alongs as well. So we have other content that we are love to bring you all. If you are thinking about doing content and really don't know how to start, join us at patreon.com/RuckusEV as we can help you all get off the ground, get a show going, and we would love to help you out anything we can. But on myself, I know my partner in crime, he's having some internet issues there. Like he said, someone ran over his internets, but he was still able to get it going. But behalf of myself, Tvshka, and everyone out there, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be doing this again on Monday and probably on Tilt, even though we told you all not to. So we will see you all next time. Peace.